All right, let's dive into something pretty fascinating today. We're going to approach the idea of the soul not as a story, but as a kind of clinical trial. We'll be looking at a deep spiritual sickness, its diagnosis, and a pretty radical treatment.
So let's start with a question that gets right to the heart of it all. I mean, think about it. Every single day, we put on a face for the world, right? A kind of mask. But what's really going on behind it? And more importantly, what's the cost of that constant performance?
Okay, let's meet our subject. We'll call him the traveler. And his diagnosis, well, it's severe. We're looking at a condition that isn't caused by a virus or anything physical. No, this is something much, much deeper, something fundamental to his very existence. This quote just nails the diagnosis. The traveler has spent his entire life building a performance. These hollow rituals, these curated social roles, they aren't about living an authentic life. They're an incredibly elaborate defense mechanism, a shield built to manage what everyone else thinks of him. So what exactly is this gilded cage? Well, think of it like this. From the outside, it looks shiny, perfect, maybe even beautiful. But it's a prison. It's called an architecture of stagnation because nothing real, no true growth, can ever happen inside. The whole thing is held together by polite little lies, all to hide a kind of decay happening on the inside. And here it is. This is the absolute core of the diagnosis. The real sickness isn't just a symptom. It's the patient's core belief that he is a separate individual self. It's framed here as an existential fever, an illness that cuts the soul off, preventing it from finding balance with the rest of the universe. The very thing we all cling to, our sense of I, is presented here as the disease itself. So, with a diagnosis that profound, what's the treatment? Well, it's not therapy, it's surgery. We're stepping into an operating theater of the mind for a procedure designed to systematically and precisely take apart the very ego that's causing all the problems. And this isn't a random process. It's methodical. It follows 4 very clear steps. We've already got step 1, the diagnosis. Next comes the main surgical tool. Then, a forced confrontation. And finally, a prescription. A choice. This is the scalpel, the weaponized uncanny. And yeah, it's as intense as it sounds. It's a method that takes the familiar, comfortable parts of the traveler's world and just twists them. It inverts them, so they no longer feel safe. Instead, they become mirrors, reflecting all the terrifying, empty truths that he's been desperately trying to avoid. And here are a couple of perfect examples of how this works. You have the Albany clock tower. Normally, that's a symbol of order, of time, but here it's inverted. It becomes a source of dread, literally draining the meaning out of every second that passes. Or the Verdant dragon, maybe a symbol of pride or heritage. Now it's twisted to reflect a hidden, ugly history. You see, the things that once brought comfort are now instruments of judgment. Okay, so the pressure has been building and building, and it all leads to this. The procedure reaches its most critical phase. A head-on confrontation with the one figure the traveler has spent his entire life trying to ignore. Now, it's so important to understand what this honest guest is and what it isn't. The Duke of the Abyss isn't some external demon. It's an internal force. It's the embodiment of the death instinct, that part of us that, on some level, craves dissolution. It's the raw, unfiltered voice that the performance mask was designed to keep quiet. It's not evil, it's just brutally honest. And what the Duke reveals is just devastatingly simple. All the traveler's pain, that existential fever, it all comes from one place. The massive gap, the chasm, between the mask he shows the world and the truth of who he really is. It's the constant, agonizing tension of keeping that lie alive that's the source of all his suffering. So, the ego is shattered. The truth is out in the open. Now the procedure moves to its final stage. This isn't an order, it's a prescription. It's a choice presented to the traveler as the crimson gift. And the choice really boils down to 2 fundamental paths. On one side, you have the logic of 0, a complete surrender, the sweet, silent peace of just not existing anymore. It's an end to the struggle. On the other side, the logic of 1, the incredibly difficult, exhausting, thankless job of building a new, authentic self from the rubble. It's the choice between peaceful nothingness and a painful but sovereign existence. The procedure's complete, the prescription has been offered, and now
All that's left is for the traveler to process this revelation and render a verdict on his own life. And in that moment of quiet, it all finally clicks. The traveler gets it. This whole agonizing procedure, it wasn't a punishment. It was a crucible, a purifying fire that was absolutely necessary to burn away the mask, to wipe the slate clean. The pain, he realizes, was the price of freedom. It's in the end by turning the camera back around, away from the traveler and onto you. The clinical trial is over. The cage is gone, the mask is off, the slate is completely clean. The real question isn't what the traveler decided, it's what you will decide. What will you write?